our mission is to change the paradigm about failure around the world. We try to do that through organizing events where people talk about their professional failure. Hi, I am Charlie Zimbron, and you are entering A World Gone Good.
Well, hello, my name is Steve, and here we are together again to shine the light or find the light in the darkness and prove this world isn't as effed up as we think it is. Language. Language is going to be a big part of today's show. If you have a problem with F-bombs being dropped, well, as my mother informed me over most of my childhood, too bad, you'll survive. But in somewhat seriousness, this is your fair effing warning that today's episode contains multiple uses of the F word because, well, that's the name of the organization we're speaking with. Consider yourself warned. Now, the other thing today's show has in it is the return of my one and only ever co-host, Lisa. You may remember Lisa previously from our Season 2 preview about a year ago, but more importantly, she is the brains behind our website. What website, you ask? WorldGoneGoodPodcast.com. See, like I got the little plug in there. Pretty smooth, huh? She's back with us today because she apparently likes to fuck things up. Isn't that right, Lisa?
Only when it's convenient. Just a little bit.
Like yesterday. Why don't you tell everybody what happened yesterday?
Yeah, yesterday I was getting ready to record and I couldn't understand why it wasn't working. And it kept telling me to download Google Chrome and all this. And then all of a sudden it dawned on me, you can't do this on your iPad. So I brought in my laptop today because I didn't have it with me yesterday.
Well, this is magical because the system we use, she's right. We have to do it on our laptops because it's a better sound. And it's not compatible with our iPads or our phones. That's why you get to hear the good sound. But it's funny that this all happened because today's show is about fucking up.
And I knew when I did that yesterday, it would wind up in the show.
Congratulations. So let's talk about this. Our guest today is a group called Fuck Up Nights, and they celebrate failures, specifically professional failures. We're going to get to all that in a few minutes, but you're here because you found them.
Yeah. I saw an email years ago and the name just caught my eye and I'm like, what is this? And they were just having an event nearby in my town. And I've been following them ever since just because I think it's a great concept.
This show is about embracing failure, right? So, professionally speaking, or personally speaking, is there a failure that you fucked up with that you want to fucking share?
A quick one that comes to mind, real easy one. I manage commercial property in Tampa, and I have this one business park. It's got 9 different buildings, multiple tenants, and we had a tenant that had 20% of the park that leased 20% of the park, and they eventually became the owner. And so, it was interesting having them as a client, but also my tenant and that balancing act. And at the time, they were our biggest client ever. Well, they, in addition to their 20% of the park, which is a lot of space, they leased a little executive suite from us, which is like a single room. We're talking like $350 a month. They just, wanted to receive packages or something. So anyway, it came time for renewal, and the CFO sends me an email and said, "Hey, we just want to go month to month on this instead of signing a lease." So my response to my biggest client was, "I'm sorry, we don't do leases less than 12 months." Send. I think it was a little less direct than that, but I was like, that was basically the message I sent. Well, let me just say, the owners hit the ceiling. I don't I don't know what came over me. Like, these are people who are paying, millions of dollars over years. And I'm like, I'm sorry, that $350 must be on a 12-month lease. So I don't know what I was thinking. It was very stressful at the time. I had to backpedal a lot and apologize. And I'm sorry I was, on autopilot. But it was at the time pretty rough. It was a little tense, but I got past it, and now it's funny.
All I heard, and any of the listeners out there heard, is that there's a space available for $350 a month.
No, not anymore.
No, not anymore, exactly.
Price has gone up.
I was trying to think of like what my big professional failure has been, and the one that comes to mind, which is a really quick one, I'll tell you, is I do marketing and promos, and we put out these spots. And at the top of a spot, we have what's called a slate, and that tells you what promo is going to come next. And this is what we send out to all of the affiliates and all of the different network promos have a slate at the top. Well, I was working for a company, and I was doing the producing of the offline, and then there's an online, and they're in charge of the slates. Well, no one told me you are also in charge of the slates in the online. So I didn't know that. Okay. So I had just gotten this job. It was a freelance job, and I didn't pay attention at all to the slates. And apparently they were numbered wrong or colored wrong, but I did them wrong. And they all went out. I had never done that before, but also no one told me, but I also didn't ask, right? So they all went out wrong. And then the person who hired me called me like screaming. And it's a friend of mine. This went out to 300 places. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's all wrong. Oh my God. Oh my God. And I was like, wait, what's wrong? What did I fuck up? Thankfully, they let me finish that job for 5 more weeks, and then they never hired me again. It's still a very good friend of mine. And if that person's listening, I love you. And in my defense, yes, I fucked up, but you didn't ever tell me that I had to do that part. Or maybe you did, and I just wasn't fucking listening.
Is that something you've played over and over in your head?
When I see that person, every time I see fucking slates. Today's guest is Charlie Zimbron, the curator, I think that's a good word for him, of Fuck Up Nights. And this is his fucked up story. This may be the most exciting show of my life. Because the title of what Charlie does allows me to say my favorite word as much as humanly possible. But I want to clarify before we start, Charlie, you are from Fuck Up Nights, not Fucked Up Nights, meaning alcohol, drugs, rock and roll, and sex. This is singular. We start wide on this show, usually, and that's what I'm going to do if it's okay with you. And then we'll dive in. Here's the wide question to start with, and we're going to jump in from there. What is good about failing and fucking up?
Well, I think it's a lot of learnings about it, and also to change the paradigm about failure and understand that it's not necessarily like a bad thing in your life. It could be like a moment of, as I said, learnings and also to knowing yourself better and understand what happened a time of analysis and I think the best part of what we do is that to try to tell the people that it's not the worst thing on the world.
And that leads us to what you do. So we'd like you, Lisa and I, to tell everybody, what is it you do?
Well, it's kind of tricky, but our mission is to change the the paradigm about failure around the world. Like we try to do that through organizing events where people talk about their professional failure, and yeah, that basically it's a nice and fun evening where people talk about how they screw up.
And this is a live show.
It's a live show, yeah. Of course, we record it, and after that, we have videos and everything. Like you can see over and over how people fail. But yeah, it's a live show. It's a combination between a conference and a stand-up comedy show. It's like in between and that too.
You're in 62 countries, 185 cities. Where was the first one? How did it start?
Yeah, we are all around the world. We started in Mexico City almost 10 years ago. This year we are achieving to that milestone of 10 years. Yeah, Mexico City was the place we began.
And how did you begin? Like, did you get up and start with the idea? Were you one of the first people, or did you put this together as a theater project, or was it more of a corporate project to get people to reveal something in a specific element of their job?
Well, I have to say that it was like more like a serendipity project. Like we didn't plan to do this. Like we were in a barbecue, and after a couple of mezcales and beers, and yeah, we were kind of tipsy, and when you are a little bit drunk, crazy ideas came up, and this one happened, and we were like talking between friends, and those 5 friends in that moment now we are the partners of the project. So it was, as I said, like just a eureka moment. We discussed about failure. We were very political, and we were very young, and like yeah, with crazy ideas, and that helps also.
So it sounds like alcohol was involved, and a fucked up night brought about fuck up nights.
Yeah, maybe, yeah, like one thing take to another, but yeah, it was more like when you are a little bit loose and you like talk about the things you are thinking without filters, and well, that happened that day. Of course, a couple of beers helps to that, but also we believe and we believe now, but we feel in that moment that we were in a safe place, with our friends, and with people that have similar way of thinking, or respect the other way of thinking of the group. So that's why we were very like happy to take this barbecue idea to something else, and then, well, of course, it evolved to what is now. But in that moment was just like a fun moment for us every month.
I think so many people out there have that dream, quit or resign from their job, where they, walk out like Norma Ray from the movie. But I actually have been that person. I have some amazing quitting stories that are ridiculously like that should be in a movie. And so that reminds me of this, because I know that when we get together with our friends, we all start, we have a couple drinks, we all start, oh, I can top that story. I can top that story. So was that sort of happening with you and your group?
Yeah, exactly. Like we were a little bit bored about, these crazy keynotes, like, with a lot of people, and they are talking about their success. And in that moment, TED were like a big benchmark and reference for everyone that were involved, like, in new creative and entrepreneurship projects. And we are like we loved it also, but also that kind of talks are very, the usual suspect. You go there and you see, you you listen what other people have to say about success and what they're doing perfectly, and you feel like really far from that.
Yeah.
Because you don't have the reference. You feel like a little bit loose in that moment, and we were tired of that as young people, and we said, like, what about we talk about the opposite? And in that moment, everyone start talking about their own failures or their own stories. It was like automatic, the moment when we said that, like, everyone were like, yeah, I have one, I have one, I have one. And that was like a really nice conversation. Really, you feel close, you feel really close to the people where that that were with us, like around us. um and and yeah, it happens a little bit like that. Like, everyone have a really sad or even fun story. That was a crazy thing about that night, that uh, the first stories that we listened also were fun, like
Right.
failure is fun too. So that was a really good mix between feelings after the stories.
Because there's something connective in having an embarrassing moment or a disappointing moment or a moment that didn't work out with other humans, where we go, oh yes, like I can empathize, I can feel toward that.
Everyone have that embarrassing story, and also it's super relative, no? Like, failure or success could be different for you or for me, but everyone have something about that, about a difficult moment in your life. So yeah, that's why you empathize a lot.
I noticed when I listened to the stories on YouTube that I expected, because of the name, for it to be like funny stories and all, but quite a few of them are really serious and really emotional. And I've noticed, it really pulls me in. Sometimes, you get choked up and you're like, wow, like that person shared that. Okay, I'm not alone. I think it's just a great way to connect. It makes people vulnerable. And then you realize, all right, this is how we connect as humans.
Yeah, like, that's our first way to connect with the audience. Like, well, the speakers connect to the audience, to be vulnerable and open. um, could be fun also, but could be difficult and could be sad. And that we are very we try to connect the audience with the story through the feelings of the speaker, and to share your feelings you have to be vulnerable. So that's one of our main values inside the company and also in the movement. So yeah, like, we understand that after that first night, that we were like sharing something that we never shared before with anyone, with a group of friends in a barbecue. So yeah, that's a difficult thing to do, but we felt in that moment really comfortable. So I think now we are trying to transmit that to everyone. So vulnerability is our best friend in this case.
That's great.
Yeah, that's totally interesting, because that vulnerability is the thing we're told not to have. That vulnerability is that we're supposed to be strong, especially in business, and we're supposed to have all the answers and be bold and do all these things. But some of the best things come from failing completely.
And those are the stories we'd like to hear the most, really. I mean, you want to hear somebody's personal thoughts and what they did, not just something that's scripted and has to be perfect and all that. You want it to be human.
Success, it's difficult to happen. Failure, it's something that it's going to happen all the time. So at the beginning we were a little bit afraid about the concept became old, but now we understand that failure is forever. Like everyone for every it's forever for me, for you, and for it's universal. In that way,
And it's what we learn. It's what we learn from it. It's what grows out of it. It's like it's great because you can just give up and say no, that's it, and walk away, or you can say, okay, that didn't work. Now I know all the ways that didn't work, which means we got to go over here and make it work this way. Let's talk for a second because Lisa just mentioned it. The name itself. Mm-hmm. Who came up with the name? How drunk were you? Go.
I don't know if you have ever drink mezcal, but it's strong.
Uh-huh.
You're
crazy. Yeah.
We're kind of used to that here, but I think mezcal was a really good help in that process. One of our partners used to study in the U.S. We are all from Mexico, and he lived in the U.S. for a while, and he's kind of like Spanglish, mixed.
Right.
He's always like mixing the languages. So I think he came up with it. Like we were thinking about, we were like putting names just for fun, because we were not planning to do something with it, a project or a company or whatever. Like we were just like dropping names, and he say this one, like, and we said like, oh, that makes sense, like, because it's something also universal. Like if you translate that to Spanish or to French, you have a word that works for that,
right?
And it's really universal in the same way of failure is. So, and it's easy, and we're very influenced by the U.S. culture in Mexico, and also it's a language that it's like popular everywhere. We were not thinking about that in that moment, but it helps for the future of the project. And yeah, it came like supernatural, as I said, like serendipity project. Like everything came out in one moment, in one night, and after that, like we have everything solved almost.
I think that name also gets attention. I'm sure it does. Stephen asked me, he said, how did you learn about them? And I'm like, I don't remember. I just know I've been getting emails from them every month for a long time. So I started trying to backtrack, and I figured out that I had gotten an email in 2016 that said, "Fuck Up Nights Tampa Bay." And I remember seeing that going, what is this? So it made me open it immediately. And that's how I learned about you guys and then signed up. I wanted to know about it. So I think the name is a great name. Has it ever gotten you in trouble, like, or caused any issues?
Totally. Like it's a strong name, but we didn't know that in that moment because we are not a native English speakers, like we didn't understand like how strong the word was for other countries, like English speaking countries. So in that moment was like, yeah, it's a good name, let's use it. We didn't know we were gonna be global,
Right.
And also we had a lot of problems with the name. Like it's a statement for us, like we didn't change it. A lot of people said like, you have to change the name because it's really strong.
Of course they did.
And it's really strong, and you're gonna have troubles. And we said like, yeah, that's failure. Failure is strong. You don't say like, oopsie, like you said something strong and difficult, and we are that, and we kept the name. One time I was traveling with my ex-girlfriend that it's from the US. She's from the US. And we were traveling, I don't know, to Dallas, I think. I don't remember. And I had a T-shirt with the logo in front, and and the people from the plane asked me to take the t-shirt
Uh-huh.
out, and if I didn't, like, I have to be kicked out from the airplane. And it was like kind of a tense moment, and I was trying to explain, like, no, it's a good thing, it's a global thing, and like, we're trying to change paradigms, like all my pitch during a tense moment in the yeah, we are on the plane. And well, I said, like, okay, I'm not gonna win this one. So I put it was like super hot, like I was dying of, it was super hot, and I have to put a sweater on it. So yeah, that's one. Other one, we were crossing the border from Mexico to Belize because we were going to do a retreat for the team there, and all of the team were wearing, like, fuck up t-shirts, and they asked us, like, why are you using that? What is that? Like, they were like, kind of, we they thought we are like a sketchy group.
Welcome to America, where you can run around with a gun and no one cares, but if you have the word fuck on you, everyone freaks out.
Exactly.
Let's talk about your show for a second here, because I love this. I did another show, because I do a lot of theater myself. I did a show called Slideshow, and I'm so proud of you because you have 3 to 4 speakers who are told to do 7 minutes and have 10 images. Why I love this so much is because anyone who's listening, who's ever been to Slideshow back in the early 2000s, anyone who ever was in Slideshow knows, what did I say? There were about 8 of us in one night. You are limited to 7 minutes, and you are not to have more than 10 slides. So what's the mindset behind that?
We were very influenced by the formats in that back then. Like, there were like different kind of formats of how to connect with audience and with people. And basically the idea is to make it quick, like, tell a story without all the details that make us, when you are telling a story with a lot of details, that you go around the story and you're actually not telling, like, the truth or the real thing.
Right.
And we decided, like, yeah, something that it's quick, and something that have, like, this path to connect with the story and not get lost.
Do some of the images we see on behind or next to a speaker used as proof? I mean, is some of the stories so, like, oh my God, I can't believe this, I have to visually see it? Because that was what our show was kind of like.
Yeah, exactly. Like, for example, a photo of that moment when you are trying to, I don't know, like, create a startup, and you are in your room with your partner or whatever. Like, yeah, it, like, illustrate the moment, but not, you don't have all the time that kind of images. So also we accept memes or, kind of things that helps to connect with the story and with the audience. So it's basically, we don't like slides, with text, or, like, we don't recommend that. We recommend, like, images that are, that's why it's, because you are not, like, pitching a project, like, you are telling a story. So how your storytelling could be helped by the images, that's the goal. And yeah, like, I love how people, when they practice or they prepare their slides, they remember new things from that story, because they are, like, looking for photos or images in Facebook or in their, like, in some lost files or whatever, and they remind a lot of things that are new for them in that moment, or, like, take them back to the moment of the story of the story world. So yeah, that's why we decided to do it in that way.
Now, you also do private company, what do you call them? do you call them retreats? What do you call them? Or just gatherings, like where you work with the company specifically? Where do you bring people in, or do you encourage people in the company to tell their story?
Yeah, the second one, like both. We made both, but yeah, we name it private events. It's like to recreate the environment and the feeling of fuck up nights that it's open to the public, but inside a company. Because we noticed that a lot of um, decision makers inside companies are need their employees or their groups or their teams to become more close to the idea of sharing mistakes and sharing failed projects and sharing the real deal about what's happening inside the company. So it's something that it's basically a market that we create and a market that we are like exploding in that sense, but also helps a lot to take the project to other level, another place that we were not reaching, right? So yeah, we try to have stories from inside, because uh, I think that's the best way to do it. To listen to your VP or to listen to your CEO or to listen to your colleague, uh, what they have been passed through, and that's the best example to share also. So sometimes we mix the speakers, so people from inside and people from outside that are proof speakers that we know their stories and we know that are good for that context or that environment. And also after that, like we start to create new formats. So we design workshops and we design different courses and different kind of tools that help to create more like a failure culture inside the company.
That's fascinating because like the evolving of the fuck up, but it's also interesting to me because it's such like I worked for a huge corporation for 11 years, a very well-known corporation for 11 years, and there's no talk of failure there, my friends. That's not allowed. And it's so amazing to hear that companies can see the good in it. That's great.
We have champions inside the companies because people understand that it's necessary. Not always the champions like are the decision makers. So it's crazy because a group is convinced they want to do it, but the C levels sometimes are like, no, we are not prepared to do this, or we don't talk about that. And yeah, we have also that cases, but most of the time, if they open a little bit the door, like we step our foot and we try to to make it loud, like to convince them in a big way. And we have some success cases that happened, and we are very happy about it. Like to change it's a way to change the system or fuck up the system, as we said, from inside. Yeah.
These company events that you do are they what have helped you grow globally? Like I'm trying to figure out how you went from a barbecue to 62 countries. Like how did that growth, happen?
Yeah, well, actually, that was before the corporation or the corporate work we do right now. Like we start doing it in Mexico City for 3 to 6 months, and a lot of people from other cities in Mexico ask us like, what do you think about taking this to, I don't know, Monterrey or Puebla or other cities? And we were like, yeah, probably it's a good idea, but I don't have the time, and I don't know, like we were not very focused on that in that moment. But one time, a journalist from a blog attended to the event, and he think it was like a great idea. And the blog was from Spain, and when he went back to Spain, he wrote about us in the blog that it's more like a, like digital. In that moment was a blog, but was a digital news magazine or something. And a lot of people were interested about that in Spain. So I think that was the big, like jump to become international. And after that, like a lot of people from Europe start asking, and more people from Mexico, and we didn't know what to do. Like we were planning to become global, but in that moment we said like, oh fuck, like it's a real thing. We have a big thing in our hands. What are we gonna do? And we decide to take it serious and try to take it to another level. It was super difficult because we didn't have experience on that, and now we have a lot of rules and we have a contract and everything.
Oh, poor you! Your fuck up is successful. It's not a failure.
Exactly, it's really paradoxical. Like it's really crazy.
No, it totally goes against your whole being, your whole message, your whole everything you stand for.
Yeah, I know, but it's a way to try to convince other people that failure is good, like to have success. it's a way to do it.
Plus, you're like, what's the worst that can happen? If everything gets screws up, it's another story for fuck up night.
Exactly. You have just more material.
Yeah. Well, I always said that our main goal is to disappear, as a company. If we disappear, yeah, because if we disappear, it says that like we make our job good, like we convince people to take a failure as a normal part of life, or a normal process of life. So yeah, we want to disappear.
It's very full circle. It's very full circle.
Yeah.
We close these shows with 3 questions. Don't worry, you know all the answers. Fuck that up. We can add that. Don't worry, you know all the answers. Number 1, the most important probably, is where do people find you? Where do people find their fuck up night in their own town, country, city, wherever?
I think the best way to do it is to go to fuckupnights.com. Oh, sorry, I'm going to say it again because I say it in Spanish. I think the best way to do it is to go to fuckupnights.com.
Now say it in Spanish. Go ahead.
fuckupnights.com.
Nice.
You're going to find there a map of the world, and you can find what cities you have in your country, and you can find if you have a fuck up night next to you. So yeah, that's the best way to do it. And you're gonna find there like a social media for your local chapter, and a way to connect with the local chapter representative that we name fuck upper. So you're gonna find your fuck upper.
The final 2 questions are whatever you want to say. You can go back to anything we've already talked about, anything you want to say. Question number 1, actually 2. See, we're all screwing up right, left and right. I love this show. Who inspires you?
Who inspires me? You mean like a specific person or specific?
Whatever you like.
I'm very inspired by like movements, by the crowd. I like how people organize themselves to create something different, like art movements, music movements, or not have to. It don't have to be huge, but small places that change the world or change their own worlds. I don't know. I'm inspired by that kind of thing. I love history, so I like that kind of things in the history. So yeah, I don't know if that answers the question.
It's yours to answer. That's great. It's yours to answer. The final question, which is not even a question, it's a statement for you to finish any way you like. This is how we close the show. Tell me something good.
Fuck up the system.
That is a good thing. What I love most about this conversation we have is that Lisa knows this. I go in and clean these up so beautifully, these episodes. I take out every every and like, and I take out all the glitches and the dogs barking and the cars reversing. But today, I don't have to take out anything because that's the mission here, right?
That's the mission. Yeah. How we fuck it up. Yeah, totally.
Thank you, Charlie, for sharing your good, and thank you, Lisa, for getting him on the show. Now, what are you going to go fuck up and be better in the process for doing so? Lisa, you know what to say next.
Next time on World Gone Good.
You're better than that.
What?
Just kidding.
That's so rude. Next time on World Gone Good.
Too late.
Screw you.
I'm not the type of person to sit around and bitch and complain about something. I'm all about action. So we knew that we wanted to create the JTC list on the spot. The JTC list is now the largest database of women of color above and below the line. It stands for Joan Teresa Curtis. Those are my mother's initials.
Cheryl L. Bedford looked at the employment situation for women of color in Hollywood, specifically by the numbers. And something big happened with that because she learned from her mother how to do it. She noticed something wasn't quite right, so she decided change should happen. She took action and became the driving force behind Women of Color Unite. Get ready to be inspired to take action yourself in our next oh-so-good new episode. Until then, be fucking good.